Everybody, in this video we are going to talk about the content recommendation engine. The project topic is motivating an individual reader of the news app to remain engaged daily by recommending the most relevant content. The business problem here is that we would like to decrease a churn rate of readers in the news app by, let's say, 5%. How to do that? That's by increasing the frequency of the app usage, in other words, engagement. How to do that? It's by triggering their interest to read the news, and that's by providing a relevant, personalized suggestion what to read. It is a feasible email-based solution because, first of all, we have lots of historical data on our readers, and secondly, we have an ability to cluster our readers, both in terms of their interest and also in terms of their activity, if they are highly engaged or the engagement is low. So the target user for us would be a reader with the low engagement. We don't need to address those who are already highly engaged. How do we define what is the low engagement? So the business decision here is that the low engagement is when the user opens an app less than 3 times a week. And the number of times per week is more important than the total reading time. If a person spends 2 hours per week reading the news in total, but it's just 1 time a week, right? So they only open the app 1 time a week, that will be considered a low engagement, while if the reading time is also 2 hours, but that's 3 times a week, right? That will be considered a better engagement. So the business problem here would be to keep the readers highly engaged and returning to the app at least 3 days a week. And it matters because those with the low engagement who don't use the app often have a tendency to unsubscribe. The expected impact here would be an increased engagement and more app usage during the week. The metrics we will be checking is the outcome, the reduction of churn rate, and of course the reduction of the loss of income, and in terms of the output, the relevance of a recommendation. So if the recommendation is relevant, we assume that the person will click and open this particular article. If it's not relevant, then they will not click on the link. So we will be looking into the click rates. The target outcome would be reducing the churn rate of users that are defined as low engaged by 5%, right? So we don't touch the other users. Everything is already going well there. And the target output here is the click rate on the recommended article should be at least 70%. Of course, there are some constraints. For example, it can be that users opt out and they will not receive any communication from us. And it can be that the lowly engaged readers, even though they receive an email or a push notification with a recommended article, they might be less interested to do any action or even to check an email at all. In terms of data, we will be taking the data from our database. That's where we collect all the information on our readers. We should discuss how far should we look back in time to define if the reader is highly or lowly engaged. Is it just the past 1 week that we're checking, or maybe the past month, and we look what was the average per week there. We also need to think how to exclude outliers. And in terms of modeling, for us, the performance of the model in this particular project is way more important than the ability to interpret why a particular article was selected. So it can be a black box and it doesn't introduce any risk to the user, right? But the performance and the click rates would be very important to us. So the solution that we are talking about in this project is having a recommendation engine that selects the news articles that are of high interest to the user based on the past activity of this user. If for whatever reason this recommendation model fails, we can always have a fallback on a calibration step or heuristics, for example, if you don't have enough information yet on a reader. And we can always have a fallback to the trending articles. So what is the top read article in general among all the users? And what is the longest read article? So obviously we hope that our recommendation model will be working well and we will not have that much of a fallback, and it's something that we will need to monitor. In terms of the ML system design, those will be batch predictions because we would like to send the recommendation just once a day. Because of that, it's okay to have an offline learning and to have it in the cloud because we don't need to be super fast or instant. Of course, we can have some potential risks in production, for example, latency if the users start reading more, but that's okay for us. There can be a shift in demand to read the news, which creates the data drift. There can be a shift in behavior due to a new interest in life or some life changes, which can create a concept drift. And in terms of monitoring, we need to monitor the input data, the data pipelines, and of course the model outputs. On the product side, we need to be checking the click rates to know how relevant our prediction is to the reader. And also the article reading time, because if, let's say, readers click on the link because they get interested by the title, but in the end, after 3 seconds, they stop reading, it means something is wrong, right? So checking just the click rates is not enough. The reading time will be helping here. Thank you very much for listening.